Hey, what's up, guys? We're going to be talking about Enneagram Type 8. Yeah, you guys, don't tell me what to do. We're going to talk about how to get along with your loved ones or friends or neighbors or people that you work with that are Type 8s. You know, the holiday season is here and we're going to be close to family and we're going to be, sitting around those tables laughing together and talking to one another. And you probably got an 8 in your life and you're thinking, Tom, how do I get along with this person? Oh my gosh, they're so extra. Well, I was looking at this book, The Enneagram Made Easy. It's the first book I ever looked at when I started learning about the Enneagram. And sometimes it's good to go back to the beginning and look at all these notes that I have about type 8s. I just want to look at this list that lists about 10 things about how to get along with an 8. And, it's not an exhaustive list. It's not everything, but it's a good place to start. And I don't really have any grand design here except just to read the list and see what comes to my mind. And I had a couple of extra thoughts that I put down there that maybe will be helpful in helping you get along with that person that you love who is a type 8. Because sometimes 8s can be challenging. You literally are called the challenger, or on this book, you're called the asserter. So before we get started, just a reminder, in the description below is a link to my website, tomlahue.com, where I can help you. I do Enneagram coaching. I do individual appointments with people. I have coaching plans. I also do a lot of marriage coaching. When you know your Enneagram type and your spouses, for example, that gives you a lot of insight in how to relate to one another. And, knowing the Enneagram should make a difference in how we treat people. So if you want to reach out to me, I'd love to work with you in one of my coaching plans. Also, I have a lot of courses available online and sometimes live courses. And there's one coming up. I'd love for you to reach out and be a part of that class. And also on my store tab, there's a lot of books, a lot of downloads, and there's one that's free right now, maybe a couple that are free. So go there and check them out, free downloads. Okay, so let's get started. How to get along with me. Well, this little note here at the bottom I thought was interesting. It says 8s at their best in a relationship are loyal, caring, positive, playful, truthful, and straightforward, committed, generous, and supportive. What a great list. Who doesn't want that in a spouse? Who doesn't want that in a friend? If you were looking for a friend, it sounds like a great list. Loyal, caring, positive, playful, truthful. Does that say truthful? Yeah, truthful, straightforward, committed, generous, and support. What a great list. I need that person in my life, and so do you. But maybe you're saying, yeah, gosh, Tom, that doesn't sound like the person I know at all. Like maybe 20 years ago, but it doesn't sound like them today. Well, life can be hard and life can be challenging and can be very disappointing. And sometimes it makes us a little rough around the edges. One person, life has a way of balancing them and smoothing them out, making them easier to get along with. And then another person just gets angrier and grumpier and more disappointed. And well, here's the list of 8s not so much at the best. Here's 8s at their worst in relationships. And if you are an 8, see if this sounds like you. Okay, it says 8s in a relationship are demanding, arrogant, combative. No, I'm not. Stop it. Combative, possessive, uncompromising, and quick to find fault. Now, that's kind of a hard person to get along with. Let me read that again. 8s at their worst in relationships are demanding and arrogant, combative, possessive, uncompromising, and quick to find fault. That's a lot of person right there to try to, manage and try to have a relationship with. And just realize, when you're not doing well, you can be pretty challenging to be around. Challenger. Okay, so we're not going to focus on the negatives here. We're going to focus on the positives. This is a channel all about positivity and change and self-development and transformation and grace and forgiveness. And so let's keep it positive. All right, here's the list in this book, and let's see where it takes us, okay? So how to get along with me, how to get along with your type 8. Number 1, you're going to find this one funny because you're going to think, really? Is that really what they want? Because when I do this, it seems like it doesn't work out so well. But I didn't write the list, okay? I'm just reading it. Here's what it says. In order to get along with me, number 1 is you got to stand up for yourself and also stand up for me. Eights tend to think of love in terms of protection. If you love somebody, then you protect them. Think like that mama bear, who's loading the kids in the car and creepy guy walks by and, that mama bear, you're not going to get near my kids. You're not going to touch my kids. You're not going to threaten me. If I love these people, then I've got to protect these people. And, I think if you are in a relationship with an 8 or you love an 8, they're going to expect that you're going to demonstrate some kind of protection. Like, for example, if a telemarketer calls and wants to schedule Saturday at your house for some nonsense appointment, why did you say yes to them? I can't believe you said yes to them. I'm not going to be there. I can see an 8 responding like that. Like, you didn't protect our calendar. You didn't protect our weekend. You opened us up to somebody that I don't want here in my house. And you might be responding like, gosh, why is this such a problem? I don't understand why you get so mad about me saying yes to something that's going to take our time or our attention. And I could just see an 8 thinking like, oh my gosh, why do you say yes to people? Why can't you just say no? And if you have a problem, if you have a problem in the relationship, then the 8 is probably thinking like, you need to handle the problem. Like, you need to come to me and talk to me directly about this. And you need to stand up for yourself. If you don't stand up for yourself, then why should I give in to your needs or demands or wants? If you're not willing to stand up for them, then why should I? If you can't acknowledge what you need, then why should I go out of my way to acknowledge something that you won't speak to me directly? Don't be ambiguous. Don't, beat around the bush. What word I put here? Don't sugarcoat things. Be confident. Be strong. Be direct. These are all things that the little 8 had to learn as a kid. Like, I got to be strong. I got to be direct. I got to be confrontational. I got to stand up for myself. These other kids are going to take all the crowns, and I'm just going to be stuck here with a picture and a pencil. And you got to be able to tell people no. You got to say, no, that's my crayon. Now get out of here, And so if you don't stand up for what you want, how am I supposed to read your mind? I can't read your mind. So if you want something or you want something to change, then you need to stand up for that. And I think, talk is a little cheap with 8s. Like, you got to decide how you're going to go into action here. And realize if you're like a nice person, you're a 9 or you're a 2 or you're maybe a self-preservation 6 or something like that. You're a friendly, nice person who doesn't like conflict. Like a lot of 9s don't want conflict. Your desire to avoid conflict could actually generate more conflict in this relationship with an 8 because you're trying to leave out parts of the story that are going to upset them. You're trying to leave out or obscure parts of the problem or scenario that might cause this 8 to become reactive. And it would probably be far better if you just looked at them and said, hey, we don't want to come for New Year's. We don't want to come. Or, hey, I'm sorry, you can't bring that fish into the house. Larry's allergic, so you can't. You got to take it out. You got to take it out. Rather than, oh, well, I put it out in the other room because I don't want to hurt your feelings and tell you that you brought something that nobody can have because we're all allergic to it. It's probably better just to come right out and say what the problem is and deal with things honestly. But you're like, yeah, but Dr. Tom, they're going to react. Yeah, they're going to react. They're an 8. Let them react. That's probably on the list here somewhere is the last one on the list, listen to this. I love it. I love this. Listen to what it says. When I scream, curse, and stomp around, try to remember that's just the way I am. And I think that, let your 8 be an 8. Don't try to stop them from being an 8. When they react and when they come in and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe what they said about Trump. This is ridiculous. Oh my gosh, I can't believe the lady at the grocery store. She's wanted to stop me and see my receipt on the way out. I was like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Of course I paid for these groceries. I shouldn't have paid for them. Everybody else is walking out the store with, and when an 8 is like that, in that just kind of like, let me growl about this thing. Let me complain about this thing. Let me argue about this thing. Don't try to stop that. Well, that's not nice. That poor lady at the checkout, she's got a job and it's her job to check your receipt. I can't believe you would say that to her. I'm just very disappointed in your behavior. That 8 is immediately going to say, I can't get along with you. Because when I talk to you about some ridiculous thing that happened to me, you want to start blaming me. What did I do? I think you got to let your 8 be an 8. In fact, enter into this banter with them. Let them complain. Let them growl. Let them bark. You say, yeah, but it's so exhausting. Well, you do stuff that's exhausting. Getting along with you isn't always so easy either. Your passive-aggressive self. I can't believe he said that to me right now. No, it's fine. If you think I'm passive-aggressive, then you know what? I'm the problem. I'll just leave. We all are a little bit difficult to get along with. You too. You nice person, focused on being kind and friendly and loving and sweet and all that. What if people don't respond to you the way you want? You can get a little awful. So let your 8, the whole thing here with 8s is they just got to be themselves. Like what you see is what you get. 8s value transparency. They value being real. Like a 4. Like 4s want to be authentic. 8s really are authentic. Like what you see is what you get. And they're probably actually like holding back a lot. Like as ridiculous and as loud and obnoxious as you might think they are, they're probably holding back. Like you should ask them sometime, what didn't you say? And you might, really start to gain some respect for how much they limit themselves. Now, an unhealthy 8's not going to limit themselves. They're just going to come right out and grab you by the throat and, but most 8's try to get along with people. They understand, like I can't just go out there and do whatever I want to do. Remember, that's the sin of lust. I want to go out there and do whatever I want to do. That's lust. Is I have the right to just go out there and exploit. I have the right to just go out there and take. I have the right to just use. I have the right. Other people and their stuff exist for my use and purposes. I have a loyalty to myself. That's how 8s are wired. So think about when they're generous and they're loving and they're very thoughtful, and they can be. Oh my gosh, they absolutely can be. Sometimes the most generous people I've ever known have been 8s. And they don't need the admiration or all of the appreciation that like 2s and 3s and all, even 6s and 7s, they don't need all that. They're like, don't make this weird, man. If I didn't want to give it to you, I wouldn't give it to you. I gave you my car. You needed a car. So let's be done with it. That's it. That's it. I don't know why I always talk in New York accent when I talk about 8s. I just see a little Joe Pesci, in Home Alone. I'm going to get that kid. Hey, Marv. Hey, Harry. Okay, I'm a 7. Can you guys tell? Okay, here's number next. Don't gossip about me or betray my trust. I'm done. You want to betray me? You want to gossip about... Look, I let you into my fort. I let you into my family. I let you into my good nature. I let you into my trust. And then you go run off and you start talking crap about me. That's it. That's it. That's over. It's done. So if you've got something to say it to their face. If you've got some complaint to register, remember, these people, they're not brick walls. They're not like, they come across as big and strong and powerful and tough. But underneath that, there is a little girl in there. There's a little boy in there. Be careful with that little girl. That little girl, that little boy, when they were a child, they got this message at some point, like, you need to get bigger. You got to get bigger. You got to be able to handle this. You can't be one of the little babies in the house like everybody else. It's up to you. You're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet. You're going to have to just learn how to manage stuff. You're going to have to learn to just take it and just be okay with it. But you got to remember, like, these people are people. Like, they have hearts too. And yeah, they've got this thick outer shell that's very self-protective. But be careful what you say to these people because you think they can take it. They have hearts. They're soft on the inside. They have this vulnerability in them that, yeah, is sometimes a challenge for them to show this and to demonstrate. When they do show it, it's a wonderful thing. And all of you eights, try to find a balance between being strong and at the same time being, I don't know, soft, compassionate, kind, loving. You know, it's that line, 8-2, 8-2. Try to live somewhere in the middle of that line. Try to move toward the 2, loving, kind, friendly, warm. You know, that isn't a weakness if you show that. But again, like if you betray that goodness, that kindness, that love, if an 8 comes out, for example, and tells you, you know, one of my biggest fears is the fear of growing old. All right, so at a moment of vulnerability, that 8 shares that with you. And then you go, ha, ha, hey guys, did you hear that? Old Sarah here's afraid of getting old. If you do that to them, they're going to think, yep, done. Never telling you anything else again. You are now on the naughty list. I'm done with you. So when an 8 takes you into their confidence and they share that weakness or that love or those tears or that fear or whatever it is, that apprehension that they're going through, that's a very precious moment. Don't devalue that. And certainly don't betray that. And then also just betrayal can look like betrayal. Like, you know, you pretend like you really care about this person, but then you stab them in the back, you know, so that you can get the promotion. That's going to feel pretty bad to them. It would to anybody, right? Number next here, be vulnerable and share your feelings. See and acknowledge my tender, vulnerable side. Okay, that's probably enough about that. We don't want to talk about that too much. Give me space to be alone. Yeah, especially when they're upset. Because 8s disintegrate to 5, which is a withdrawn type. So the assertive 8, get out of my way. The assertive 8 becomes a withdrawn 5. Like, I'm done. I'm out of here. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm done. And when they're like that, let them be done. Don't chase after them. What? What's the matter? What's going on? I don't understand. See, your anxiety is causing you to chase after somebody who's trying to get away from you. Let them get away. Let them recover. Look, they go to 5. They're going to think about things. They're going to go from doing to thinking. You know, which, by the way, that's a good time for us to just say, why don't we just do this on purpose, 8s? Wouldn't it be better? This would be a much better plan for you in life going forward. Before you act, stop and think. Stop and think. Just stop and think for a minute. Before you take action, whatever it is. Okay, what's the problem? Yes, okay. All right, well, get out of my way. I'm going to start doing things. Before you just start doing things, why don't you stop and think? Here's a couple of things you might think about. Is this my responsibility to take care of this? Is it my responsibility? Is this a problem that I need to involve myself in? Is this my fight that I need to get into? What's my strategy here? What's my goal here? What is it I'm trying to accomplish? 8s sometimes can be very reactive and not very strategic. Now, don't be offended. Don't be offended. I'm trying to love you and I'm trying to tell you the truth here. 8s can sometimes be a little reactive and not necessarily strategic. They're always winning battles, but could end up losing the war if they're not careful. So they win that conflict with their boss. You know, they told their boss and they showed their boss, and now they end up getting, you know, released or suspended or fired or a week without pay or whatever. You got to be careful. And so slowing down and listening more and making sure you understand other people first and understand their plight and understand their needs and pausing a little bit before you say out loud or before you go into action is a great move for you as an 8. Now, if you live with an 8, you might have to try to have some compassion on that fact that they tend to just go into action. They tend to let's do something. Let's do something. This is bullcrap. Let's do something about this. I need to do something about this. So you might just kind of have to realize that they're sort of wired that way. And Be a little patient. Gently try to encourage them to slow down just a little bit. Let's make sure we understand before we start taking action. Give me space to be alone. Acknowledge the contribution I make, but don't flatter me. That sounds exactly like something a 4 would say. Isn't that interesting? And probably like a lot of 6s as well. Like they can see through, 4, 6, and 8, the 3 reactive types. Don't sell me a line of bullcrap. If I do something that is, helpful or, acknowledge that. Say, wow, thanks. I really appreciate it. One of the best things you could do to an 8 is to thank them and let them know without being ridiculous, without flattering them. Oh my gosh. Oh, you're so great. Don't do that stuff. Don't pour it on thick. It's going to seem inauthentic. It's going to feel slimy and corrupt, right? And 8s are going to see through that trash. But admire them for their strength. Say to them out loud, wow, thank you for taking over in that meeting. Man, that was like going in the wrong direction. And I really admire your ability to just get a hold of things and take them in the right direction. I really admire your ability to stand up for Susie in that meeting. Man, I really appreciate the way you handled that. Man, you really saved our butts in there. Thanks for coming through. That stuff all day long. Say that stuff to an 8. But make sure it's honest. Make sure it's true. Make sure it's authentic. Because what do they value? Transparency and honesty. I think 6s and 4s, transparency and honesty. So if you have a tendency to flatter, keep that crap to yourself. Okay, don't do that because they're not going to like it. They're going to see you as like slimy, slithering, trying to get ahead in some way and trying to lie to me to get something that you want. I often speak in an assertive way. Don't automatically assume it's a personal attack. I often speak in an assertive way. Yeah. A lot of 8s I know are they speak in a very assertive way. It's very New York. And they're not trying to be combative. They're not necessarily trying to be dominant and domineering the room or dominating conversations. But that's kind of what ends up happening because a lot of us are just quiet, timid people who sit around and wait for somebody to give us the topic to talk about. And assertive people, like an 8-wing 7, 7-wing 8. I mean, these are assertive people, right? And so when they walk into a room, they're going to just kind of take over the room. They're prone to just taking over the room and setting the tone. And that, if you are, not that type of person, you might find that wonderful because the pressure's off of you now, or you might find it obnoxious. Well, give some understanding. Let's have some understanding. Let's recognize we're all different. And, there's room for us all at the family reunion. There's room for all of us around the Christmas tree. There's room for us all around the Christmas tree. Okay, don't try to control them. Be reliable, dependable, and follow through. Oh, man, if you got a little 8 child, probably a 6 as well. You got an 8 child and you commit to something, you better follow through on it. You better find a way to make it happen because if you don't, they're forever going to think Daddy lies to us. Yeah, Daddy lies. He said he was going to take us to the museum and then he didn't. He didn't do it. He said he was going to, but then he didn't. I know that he fell and broke his leg, but that's no excuse. He said he was going to take us. You can't believe a word he says. So, if at all possible, you better follow through and be dependable and be reliable if you commit to something. Give them space to leave. Don't take it personally. Remain calm even if they don't. Look, the more somebody gets reactive, the more you need to be calm on the inside. Like as they become more unstable, you got to be stable. You got to be calm. You can't let everything they say right now offend you because you just got to remember, like they're an 8 being an 8. They're going to say stuff. They're going to punch a little bit with their words. And you don't need to let yourself become reactive. Now, sometimes I think it's good to punch back a little bit, not with your hands. I'm not saying with hands. I'm saying sometimes the 8 wants to banter like that. And so when they come at you like, where were you? You said you were going to be here at 8 o'clock. It's freaking 9:30. You know, you could remain calm and be like, hey, you know, something came up and I'm sorry, but I did the best I could. What do you mean you did that? Okay, you could respond like that. Or you could come back a little bit the same way. But don't get all personal, bent out of shape about this. Act a little bit and say, you know, what do you want from me? I was going to get here at 8, but then Ma called and what am I? I'm like in a Rocky movie. Ma called and I had to take the phone, all right? So get out of my face. And you'll probably see that 8 like step back like, okay, hey, all right. He fought for himself. So I can respect that. I can respect that. Do you see what I mean here? Is like when an 8 comes at you, like, you know, hey, I thought you said you was going to be here. You know, if you come back at them a little bit, they can respect you because you're able to stand up for yourself. So you say, what do you want from me? Hey, man, I'm doing the best I can. What do you want from me? You might think, yeah, but I can't do that. I can't even think about that. Well, maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's part of the problem why you guys don't get along so well is because you're hurt and you're scared all the time of having some kind of like, remember, 8s are 8s. They love intensity. They want to spar and growl and wrestle, but that isn't the same thing as fighting. That's not fighting. Your desire to not fight with them may actually create fighting with them. So get in that ring a little bit. Learn how to spar a little. Learn how to stand up for yourself. Learn how to dodge and weave a little. Say, what do you want from me? I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, I'm a little late. Get over it. But then smile and hug them. You'll probably find that you'll get a better response from them with a little bit of spicy in that meatball. Put some spicy in your meatballs. Gosh, that doesn't sound right. Okay. Why don't we just end there? Let's just end there. How about that? We'll just stop there. We'll stop there. It can't get any better or worse than that. So I'm just freaked out about this picture. Like, I don't understand how that's 8s, you know. Well, we're playing on the piano. I don't know. Some of these pictures don't make any sense, but whatever. Thank you guys. I hope it's helpful to you. Merry Christmas, y'all. Merry Christmas. And if you have some 8s in your life, try to be a little patient. Try to be a little understanding. It's probably going to take some 9 energy until they develop a little more 9 wing. You're probably going to be a little 9-ish around them, a little less affected, a little less offended, a little more patient as they grow and become the best versions of themselves. I'll see you guys next time. As always, be present to life. Check out this playlist. Check out this video that I'm recommending. And if I can help you in any way, please reach out to me. Love you guys. Take care. Bye.